and fulfill the prediction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that this Krishna consciousness movement is going to spread all over the world in every town and village. We have the responsibility to fulfill the dream of Srila Prabhupada. And we are very thankful to Gopal Bhatta Prabhu, Konteya Prabhu and their team that they have created this wonderful arrangement for all of us. That we can come from all over the world and assemble here together and associate with each other in order to enliven ourselves spiritually and enrich ourselves with this wonderful spiritual advancement. Thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschata Dishatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Hari.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bhakti Churu Maharaj. The talk of from Bhakti Chaitanya Bhakti Churu Maharaj, so inspiring, speaking of a future, and part of his discussion was the ultimate future. We have some things that are a little bit more immediate in front of us. The next 10, 15 years. Very, very important period of time for ISKCON. In past ILSs, we've concentrated on practical things that you could take home and have value in terms of implementing things in the moment. This ILS is concentrating on looking forward into the next 10 and 15 years, 20 years. As much as we might not like to leave this world, or to the extent that we're anxious to leave this world, Srila Prabhupada's disciples, their time is limited. And the disciples of Srila Prabhupada's disciples are truly going to be absolutely 100% in charge. That handoff is a very serious time. And we need to get fully prepared for that handoff. And thus, this ILS is dedicated to illuminating that. Therefore, we have, for the ILS 2018, 8 primary themes. And we're very much wishing every single person in this room for 8 days to be constantly meditating on one or more of those 8 themes. We'd like to just quickly review them. Konteya Prabhu, please start us off in that review.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada physically departed from our external side more than 40 years ago. And his disciples are in the 60s and 70s. We see here the famous cover of the Radha Krishna temple record. Most of them are still with us, but again, it's almost 50 years later. Some of them, like Yamuna Devi, are not anymore with us. Some have departed. The question, when will ISKCON be handed over completely to the next generation? We certainly wish all Srila Prabhupada disciples to remain in this world and give us their guidance and association for as many years as Krishna would allow. But we also know that Krishna is also the force of time. And in the course of time, the whole International Society for Krishna Consciousness won't have the benefit and blessing of the presence of any Srila Prabhupada disciples. Therefore, it's imperative for us to prepare. It's imperative for us as their disciples, grand disciples, and it's also imperative for them, the Srila Prabhupada disciples, to give as much as possible to us so that we can do a good service in keeping ISKCON alive and growing. And as Gopal Bhatta Prabhu was stressing, a very strong meditation of this ILS is how to prepare. How each of us can prepare for this future. And these are the 8 primary themes centered on this major idea, this major imperative. The first one is what culture and values will guide ISKCON's decision and maintain its purity. Purity is the force. We'll talk more about culture, about values. But what will be the vibration, internal compass that will guide the decision that all the leaders will make in the future?
Good. You want to go to the next one? The second theme, what existing and new systems should be put into place to keep the wheels moving. If you managed to hear this morning's class by Devakinandan Prabhu, he spoke of keeping the wheels moving. Something that Srila Prabhupada coined regarding the Indian Railroad, where every single employee of the railroad, doesn't matter high, big executives, or the lowest person who is just lifting the gate to closing the gate to stop the traffic, everyone must do their job to keep the wheels moving. But to be able to do that, we have to have systems. ISKCON in the past has not been the strongest in terms of developing systems. What happened to this all of a sudden? Is it okay? Can everyone hear me well? Yes? Because all of a sudden something seemed to have changed a little. We go back to one of the 7 purposes originally written into the original corporation ISKCON Inc. that Srila Prabhupada penned himself, to systematically propagate the Sankirtan movement. And Srila Prabhupada, in his all of the work that he did to bring ISKCON to a full birth, he was very systematic. So systems very important.
What lessons can we glean? what lessons can we learn from our past mistakes and successes? A couple of years ago, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So we do have enough experience in doing things very well and in doing things not so well, to put it mildly. So we shouldn't live in the past, but we should learn from the past. They say that those who don't learn from history are condemned to repeat it. And certainly there are certain areas of our history that we do not wish to repeat. We also saw some very successful programs, initiatives, adventures, and we want to connect to that energy to renew that type of experience.
Number 4 is what training can be offered to our future leadership. Certainly, great efforts have been made to have training with regard to Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhakti Shastri. Not so much has been made toward actually training of leadership and the management of the movement. Many leaders have more or less grown in kind of like, okay, what's the common sense kind of thing? Many of us in our leadership were not very skilled in many of the technical things that are required for leading the movement, managing the movement, keeping the accounts. When you look at the body of instruction that Srila Prabhupada gave us, it was not just the spiritual science of Krishna consciousness. There were many, many practical instructions. Yesterday we happened to be in a meeting with the GBC going over organizational development matters. And Jayapataka Maharaj added the point that Srila Prabhupada wanted 100% of all the money to go into the bank account and 100% of the money to come out only by way of check. So in this way he just gave us, was it Gopal Krishna Maharaj. I'm so sorry. Where's Gopal Krishna Maharaj? Got a little lapse of memory. I apologize, Maharaj. So, training is required for us to really have a world-class organization. World-class organizations devote tons of energy and money and time to training their leaders. ISKCON must do the same in the future.
Number 5, how can devotees become inspired to maintain strong sadhana and study Srila Prabhupada books? Books are the basis in many ways, are the basis of our theology, of our worldview, our perception of reality. If we disconnect from that source of knowledge, our vision becomes blurred. If we disconnect from that source of knowledge, our priorities become mixed up or contaminated. So this is a very crucial question. How can we remain connected to the determination of practicing spiritual life very seriously? How can we improve or establish a better program of regular study?
Could I just add one point to that last one? We have to know Srila Prabhupada's books and his instructions so well so as to actually understand the intentions of His divine grace. It is not enough to be able to understand these books well enough to give a good class and to put together concepts that are being presented according to the explanation of a verse. We must understand Srila Prabhupada's intentions. Go ahead. So, how can we build a society that has healthy guru-disciple, family, social, and organizational interactions? Actually, I'd like to just flip back to you because this is part of your
We'll talk more about this. We generally call this topic the 3 ecosystems of ISKCON. We are all predominantly one of them. Either we are as spiritual mentors, spiritual guides, shiksha, diksha gurus, and the relationship based on that guidance. We are also members of our family, our societies. We have that type of relation, that type of responsibilities, which are also sacred. And then there is an organizational identity, an organizational and institutional need. So sometimes has been a challenge. Sometimes there has been a tension to harmonize 3 different worlds that are completely overlapping, but still they have separate priorities, separate norms. So we, as a young movement, as a young religious movement, we are still exploring, studying how to make these 3 types of interaction as harmonious as possible.
How will we fulfill Srila Prabhupada's and Lord Chaitanya's desire to spread Krishna consciousness throughout the world? Let us just take a quick look at Christianity. Lord Jesus Christ, 2,000 years ago. And actually his movement really did not get much traction in the first years. It was only about 30 or 40 years after his departure that his disciples started to put together the Bible. That Bible was not written by Jesus Christ. It was written by his disciples, and they did their best to kind of like, okay, we remember this, we remember that. And they put together one book. Srila Prabhupada gave us more information, more instructions, and the fundamental translations of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, in addition to Nectar of Devotion and several other very important books, as our guidepost. The analogy is that those 12 apostles in Christianity 50 years after the departure of Jesus Christ, they're sitting around trying to understand what should we do to spread Christianity. Look what we have. We have such absolute clarity from His divine grace as to what we should be doing. We have more opportunity to spread Krishna consciousness and establish a world religion and establish the basis of something that actually helps humanity at a level that it has never ever seen before. If we take this mission seriously, if you put yourself into the position of these disciples 50 years after the departure of Jesus Christ, look at the opportunities that we have. It's amazing. And the dedication that is demonstrated by the devotees, if we just continue on with that, Krishna consciousness will spread unlimitedly in this world.
Number 8, how can ISKCON's leaders inspire and maintain the trust of the Vaishnava community? Srila Prabhupada wrote that this movement is based on love and trust. In one sense, when the trust is lost, everything is lost. devotees, when they have love and trust, they are willing to dedicate themselves completely. They are willing to sacrifice, perform austerities. When they lose the trust, very often they lose the drive to dedicate themselves or even to purify themselves. So this is another essential element we would like to meditate on in these days.
So, let's activate that part of our intelligence, of our mind, of our heart that is future forward. Let's transport ourselves out of this place and see in ISKCON 10 years and 20 years and even 100 years or more. What do we have to do today so that, first of all, the most immediate thing in front of us, the handoff of this movement from Srila Prabhupada's disciples to the grand disciples, is complete and whole and healthy? And then further, what do we need to do in such a way that this movement stays pure as it hands off even more through the generations? That is the meditation for this ILS. Okay? Yeah, we have to get a little bit better control of lights. Yeah. So we're going to shift to a few practical things for the next 15, 20 minutes before we go. So, you have 3 important documents for the Sangha. And if you wouldn't mind, go into your bag and let's get them all out right now. One of the documents is the printed, they're all printed, but it's this has a nice cover on it. ISKCON Leadership Sangha Seminar Directory. If some people don't have one, then it means that you didn't properly register, so that when you're over, go back and register. The second document that you want to put your hands on is the ISKCON Leadership Sangha 2018, and this is the seminar schedule. Okay? And you'll see that each page is 1 day, and you'll see that it's laid out by time sector. And then there is a third document, the seminar timings. We're just going to use all 3 of these to show you how you figure out where you want to go. And the mission that we want to have right now in the next 3-4 minutes is for you to choose where you want to go for the first 2 time sectors today. The first time sector will start at 11:15. It'll go until 12:15. There'll be a Gayatri break and enough time to move to the next seminar. Almost all the seminar venues are very close, with only a couple over at the Chaitanya Bhavan, and that's a short walk also. So our mission right now is to figure out, okay, which seminars do I want to go to for the first 2 times, and then during lunch you'll be able to start figuring out where you're going to go for the afternoon, like that. There are enough seminars being given that it is actually physically impossible for you to attend more than 27% of the seminars throughout the 8 days. So you have to make choices. Which are the ones that we want? And of course the Sangha is designed like that, by having more seminars than you could possibly go to. In fact, almost more than 3 1 out of 3 that you're having to pick for, almost 1 out of 4, you have a much better chance of going to a seminar that is something that you really want to go to. Okay? So what you do, well, how do you do it? Well, you're first looking at the seminars that are being offered in that first time sector. And in this case, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You can look at the titles, see which ones interest you just from the title's point of view. Then go to the seminar directory. Each seminar is numbered. So in the case of the first one, it's Malati Devi Dasi. She's doing a seminar on weekend standards, weekend ISKCON. Seems pretty interesting. So I go to my seminar directory, and I see number 2, and it's weekend standards, weekend ISKCON, Malati Devi Dasi. I read a summary going to be covering. There's also a bio of this wonderful devotee that you can read. In this way you figure out, okay, which seminars I want to go to. You may find in looking just at that first sector that there's 2 or 3 seminars that you really want to go to. And now you're having to make a choice, which one should I go to? To help you make that choice, there is this additional document called Seminar Timings. So if you would take a look at that document and then go to number 2, you'd see Malati Devi Dasi giving the weekend standards, weekend ISKCON, and you can see that, okay, on the first day she's going to give that seminar at 11:15. On the second day of the ILS, she's going to give that at 3:30. On the 5th day, she's going to give it at 3:30. And on the 8th day, she's going to give it at 11:15. So in that way, you can say, okay, maybe I'll go to her seminar now, but I'd rather go to this other one right now, so that, no, fine, I'm going to mark that for tomorrow so that I can attend the seminar that she's giving at 3:30 tomorrow. Everybody clear, I hope. With so many devotees, we don't really have the opportunity to have a question and answer period, so we're not going to try that. But we're hoping that I've explained it clear enough. Also note that as you flip through the schedule, you'll see that day 1 looks like a normal ILS schedule. It has 4 main time sectors. Each one has, on average, 11 seminars. You go to the next day, you see that there is going to be an extended plenary. And the reason we have several extended plenaries is so that different devotees can come forward and illuminate these 8 themes that we have in greater detail. Because certainly, in addition to the seminars, we're wishing that everybody ends up with much more clarity on these themes. And so we'll have illuminations on these each day. I told him you could only pick 1 out of 4. On the third day, it's a shorter plenary and a full schedule of seminars. On the 4th day, we have a very special day. I can't remember if it was ILS 2014 that we carved out a day for prayer. For prayer for ISKCON. So this is a prayer day. And on this prayer day, we are also going to combine the establishment of the chakras at the TOVP. And so it's going to be a very great day. The actual schedule of that day will be announced either tomorrow or the next day, so that you'll know what the full schedule of that day is. From there, the rest of the ILS has different events, mostly seminars, except on that 5th day, we have a very special extended plenary that I think that, in fact, I'm positive you're going to find is a very enthusiastic time together. And that will be led by Brajabihari Prabhu. So that's how this is all working. Take a couple minutes right now to just figure out which seminars do you want to go to at 11:15 and which seminars do you want to go to at the 12:30 sector. And as you're doing that, we'll just speak a few more details. Give them a minute. Okay. So we'll give you a few minutes to look at that. So get some more light, whatever you want to do. Put some more light, yeah. Okay, one other thing about the schedule is that every evening, most evenings, I think there might be one evening that is open, but every evening there is an event. In some cases, it's going to be a Maha Kirtan at the beautiful Kirtan tent. In other cases, it's going to be a play or pastimes led by Shyamasundar Prabhu. So that's listed in the evening. Let's go through a few practical things real quick. It's very important to get to seminars on time. Seminar leaders have been, what's the word? Admonished. Okay? They must start on time and they must end on time. The biggest single complaint that we've had in past ILSs from the participants is that seminar leaders don't finish on time. That then makes it late for them to get to the next one, etc., etc. You are all leaders. We want this place to work like a clock. The seminar starts at the seminar time that it's supposed to, and it ends at the time that it's supposed to. There's some facility for translation, but as leaders, you are all resourceful, and so we expect you to figure out the translation elements. To begin with, we have the facility of having a transmitter. If you can connect with the devotees that are speaking your language, and if you have a devotee that has good English skills, because all the seminars are in English, then you'll be able to get your translations going. Specifically to the Russian devotees, you can turn to 95 FM. That's where it's going to be transmitted. And if you would like, at the end of this session, which is going to be in 7 minutes, you can gather briefly back here, the Russian devotees. Chinese devotees can gather together like that. With the Chinese devotees, Gaudiya Prabhu is coordinating the translations there. Make note that we're in this period of time between cold and hot. It could be very cold in the evening once that sun sets. Yet during the middle of the day, it could actually be quite hot. So, you know, carry a sweater or something. We don't want a whole lot of devotees catching a cold. If there's any first aid issues, Bhaktivedanta Hospital is right across the way. Emergency notification. Each seminar venue has a phone number that you can call if you need any help. Let's say you have friends that are not part of the Sangha, they haven't registered, you want to bring them to Prasadam, you can do that. You do have to purchase a Prasadam ticket, and you can get that at the registration booth. Snacks, yes. We have some snack table. Where is the snack table? Here. Don't fill up your pockets, please. But take a snack or two and carry it with you on your way out. They're right over here. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for providing that. And then lastly, if you'll see on the screen, the URL for the electronic version of the schedule. And each day there'll be a few changes. For those people that have been to prior ILSs, you know sometimes we can have a lot of changes, and we're doing our best to not have so many. But each day will be, not necessarily each day, but whatever is up there will be the most current schedule. You can expect a few changes here and there. So what we'd like to do, hang on for a moment, please. Okay. So, to finish our plenary this morning, we would like to just speak a bit on finance. Of course, any organization must have Lakshmi. You've been all gracious in offering a seminar fee to the effort. The costs of running the ILS are far greater, reasonably greater, than the fees that have been collected. And in fact, if all we did was attempt to finance the ILS solely on your fees, we'd be out of pocket tens and twenties of thousands of dollars. Okay? So in addition to that, in addition to your fees, we've engaged in some fundraising so that we can attempt to get up to zero and not run the ILS at a loss. Gauranga Prabhu this year was very instrumental in taking charge. He's a member of the Organizational Development Committee, and he's a part of the strategic planning efforts of the GBC. So he's one of the devotees that is always, he's basically a team member of what we do. And so he took charge of that. And so we'll turn over for a brief minute, because we only have 3 minutes, and hear a report on this business of fundraising.
Hare Krishna. So we are very honored that we are trying to offer the seva of prasadam distribution to different yatras across the world. ISKCON has distributed millions of plates of prasadam in history. But this group of devotees who have come from all over the world, very select group of leaders, it's a great opportunity to offer this seva. And every day's prasadam is available as seva for sponsorship. And we are very honored that today's entire days of prasadam has been sponsored by ISKCON of Singapore. And on behalf of that yatra, since I can't find any other person, I requested His Holiness Narsingh Maharaj Ji to please come forward, and I request Gopal Bhatta Prabhu and Kaunteya Prabhu to please offer on behalf of the ILS organizing team a gift to His Holiness Narsingh Maharaj. Haribo! 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 So if any of the devotees are interested to offer this seva, please do contact me personally, and we'll be happy to facilitate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gauranga Prabhu. Thank you, Devaki Nandan Prabhu from Singapore. Yes, there's just one correction. We're not going to go through a whole bunch of corrections, but Braja Bihari Prabhu, he did want to make note that, in the Leadership Sangha seminar directory, he was listed as a Dasi, and I guess he is thinking that he might be a Das. So there you have it on that. Where's Braja Bihari Prabhu? Okay, yes. Braja Bihari Das. Or do you like Dasa?
No, Das is better.
Das. Yes, and that's for the seminar on trust. Okay, very good. Thank you. He doesn't look like a Dasi to me, so. All right, Konteya Prabhu will end our plenary this morning, and it looks like we're ending right on time.
The plenary is ended.